Hello, welcome to Saturday. It's a very lazy day. It's kind of humid outside. It was hitting low 90s, high 80s this week, and we just had a little bit of a drizzle this morning, so it's not really cool. It's just like 3 degrees cooler with 50% more humidity, which might be worse than just the dry heat, but here we are on a Saturday. And I'm determined to not cook today. I'm really burnt out of food. Just eating out, cooking, cooking for work, cooking for grandma. So we're just gonna snack on some things because I'm hungry. And then I'm going to sew those buttonholes on my shirt that grandma sewed shut because she couldn't understand what I was trying to ask her to do. Um, and then we're just gonna chat. And that's it. It's gonna be a chill hang. If you're here, welcome. We're on the floor mainly because we gotta leave at 2. Yes, we're taking Freddie to the vet, but I don't think this live will be that long since we're not cooking. Just shooting the bullshit. And yep, that's it. That's all I got for you. Let's see what we're gonna eat. Are you gonna have this peach salad? Just to show you, I made this peaches and cream salad. It's basically Greek yogurt, whipped cream, sweetened with honey, a little bit of amaretto, and orange zest and nutmeg, layered together with slightly macerated peaches, just tossing them in sugar, and then layers of mint in between, and a cookie crumble on top. Pretty good, pretty easy. I think I'll snack on this first. This is mango slaw. This is a spicy mango slaw, so it has green mango sliced thinly like julienne strips, and then chunky ripe mango tossed together with green cabbage in a spicy mayo dressing with jalapeno, cilantro, and mint as well. So there's Freddie. I think he just peed or pooped. I'm not sure which. Did you pee or poop, Fred? He's a man of mystery. So we'll snack on this first. How's everyone doing? How was your week? You're cutting off your mullet. Let's see if we can get. There's Fred. There's Fred. Yeah. This week has been weird. I started off the week with a little bit of depression. I think it started last week, honestly. I still can't tell. I don't know how many of you have had a relationship with disordered eating, but I still can't tell after like a decade and a half if peanut butter is my crutch or my downfall. Because I feel like me eating large amounts of peanut butter always accompanies, I don't know the causation or the correlation, but it's definitely there, with like dips in mental health. So I don't know if just not having peanut butter will help me, but also I feel like having a restrictive food is also very difficult to maintain because there's still something very unorganic about what that food means to you. Um, so if you have thoughts about that, let me know. I think it's time for me to schedule another session with my therapist. And I have been toying with this idea of not exactly live streaming my therapy session, but more so just live streaming when I attend therapy with earbuds in. So you only hear what I'm saying and not necessarily what the therapist is saying. I have brought this up before, and a lot of people were like, I don't think that's moral because you didn't ask for his permission. But I also wonder if I just cut out his participation and audio presence, and obviously video presence as well, I won't be showing him. Is that still immoral? Chime in. Let's have a debate. Melissa, I hope everything's going well in the hospital. Yeah, your crutch is your downfall. True that, true that. I can't thank me for being born. My mom gave birth to me, and I've definitely harassed her many times about giving birth to me. Um, but I'm glad that you enjoy my existence. Hello, Singapore in the house. Right. I mean, everybody regrets in hindsight. I think regrets, by definition, only occur at some point in the future, never in the present. Otherwise, you would not be making that decision if you knew you were going to regret it. That's a felony. Really? Interesting. Can you tell me what the law that I'm offending is about that being a felony? Wait, let me look up what the definition of a felony is. Well, this is interesting if that's the case. Felony is traditionally considered a crime of high seriousness. Misdemeanor is regarded as less serious. Okay, so what does a felony actually cover? The federal government defines felony as a crime punishable by death or imprisonment in excess of 1 year. Jesus Christ, Lord. That's crazy. So I think in New York, it is legal as long as one party is consenting to record calls and meetings. And I know this because that was something that we discussed when we were unionizing. But yeah, I think the most moral thing would obviously to be ask my therapist. But I also have thought about it, and I think sometimes it's kind of like when you ask people for permission that asks for their participation, it changes the nature of the interaction. In which case, I would rather just not live stream it because I don't really want to change the dynamic that I have. It's kind of like when you take photos of bypassers in public spaces. Like if you go up to somebody and you ask them, can I take a photo of you? The way that they come across on your camera is going to be different once they notice you there and understand what purpose you're there for. If not entirely, then at least partially. I think photographers should ask for permission if it's in a private place, but if it's in a public place, crowds are considered public. But when you photograph someone with and without permission, those are different people you're photographing. Hello, sunny England. Yes, I will only be sharing my side of the audio. I will basically have earbuds plugged in to the session, and then when I live stream, you'll only hear what I get to say. You won't see his face. Um, but, I'll mull on this a little bit more. Um, Yeah, Anna, I agree. They're all great conversations because, I mean, the point of therapy is to like really delve into your mind and how your mind works and what triggers exist and what kind of logical loopholes you have set up for yourself and what kind of anxieties are always there, um, manifesting blatantly. All great topics. I just feel like I have so many other issues to tackle before I tackle this very meta issue of can I ask you for permission before live streaming my side of this therapy session? I just feel like that's going to be such a mind fuck. Um, but n- not a bad thought if I ever run out of things to talk about with my therapist and I still want to go to therapy for some reason. I'm also very interested in the people who are saying yes, how old or what age range you're in if you don't want to say your age exactly. And I want to know from the people who are saying no what age range you're in. Because I also feel like this has to do with a generational thing as well. I've considered this a lot. I think people of my mom's generation are more concerned about privacy because they grew up in that era where everything was offline. Um, and it's considered personal property and they're afraid of identity theft. And I think for people of my generation and younger, we're just like, yeah, we literally post about depression on Instagram every day. Like, what is there to keep? So that's a very interesting thing to consider too. Um, so, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say like blanket statement, everyone above 45 or whatever is going to be a no and everybody under is going to be a yes, but I think there is a general trend in the way that we perceive who we are, what we own, what belongs to us, what should not be shared, what's acceptable, what's moral. Um, I think it's all very cultural, and culture doesn't just relate to what ethnicity you are, what country you grew up in, what region you were brought up in, but also considering your time frame. Um, all of that plays a part. Okay, I'm gonna eat my mango thing. The last time I ate this actually got spicier as it sat in the fridge. Sarah, I think absolutely it would change how I react in the session, but here's the thing. I've been live streaming for over a year. I don't think I'm obviously not an objective referee on this, but I don't think I behave any differently or significantly differently in these live streams than I do in my therapy sessions. Um, and I think there might be more of a difference between me at work and in these sessions, obviously for obvious reasons. But that's becoming also less so. Ever since my mom's death, I have been pondering about who she was, because I think to the different people in her life, she was a different facet of herself. She performed accordingly to her role to these people, which made me think about how much divide there is between the so-called professional self and the so-called personal self. And it also then made me think about all these comments that were coming in when people watch my live stream and they see just how depressed I am, and they say that these live streams ruin their perception and their experience of me in Budget Eats. And I think about how different people from the same interaction, the same performance of self, can take away different kinds of me. And I think unconsciously and consciously, I've been trying to make an effort in bringing all my different selves together. Because I think the more different selves that I have to perform, and the more clearly I have to delineate their boundaries and their identities, the more anxiety I have of being found out by people outside of that intended circle, my other selves. And I think that kind of chronic anxiety of who I am, who I ought to be, who I should be performing on a moment to moment basis has been extremely detrimental to my mental health, my self image, my meta cognition, just like constantly churning, code switching. Not code switching language, not code switching even behaviors, but like code switching myself, like an invisible June mask that you don't see me change, and sometimes I don't even see me change anymore. And it just becomes very fatiguing. Does that make sense? This mango thing is my spicy mango slaw that will go live on delish.com maybe 2 weeks from now. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have multiple personality disorder. I think it's just that our society has pushed us to necessitate the performance of different selves. And in a way, even though it's not as severe as, and I know nothing about multiple personality disorder, honestly, but I think society has been making us mentally ill by splicing us up. It's not something as, like, maybe as pronounced as a diagnosis of multiple personality disorder, but I feel like our society has basically said you need to be different people at different times. And that's making us either sad, frustrated, burnt out, or sick, or all of the above. And I do feel like accepting the constant state of flux is so important. I've been thinking a lot about, in terms of like gender identity and sexual orientation identity. I think at one point in our lives we may think that this is all there is of us, and we are certain this is who we are, and especially if we are confronted by people who are not so accepting of fringe personalities and identities, if you want to call it that, we have a response to it in terms of like either diminishing that part of ourselves and convincing ourselves otherwise, aka becoming closeted, or trying to fight back and rebel against that and being loud and out and proud, I guess. And either way, I think the emphasis we place on identity and labels of who we are is ultimately an entrapment as well. It may seem liberating to be out and proud, but like, I think it's also necessary that we allow ourselves to be not that person that we were a year or two ago. And that's the only way that I've found it possible to take it easier on myself. So accept yourself for who you are now, and when the time comes, accept yourself for who you are then. And there's a lot of shit to deal with on a daily basis that is outside of your control. But acceptance is probably the easiest way to access peace at your disposal. Do you like European guys? I don't know. I've never dated a European guy. I've never really had a European guy friend. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do some research. Get back to you on that one. Okay. First bite wasn't too spicy. I did put a lot of sriracha mayo in here, so it is quite creamy, which cuts out a little bit of the spiciness. There's also a little bit of sugar. I do agree with K-Clock. I think the process of grieving has been a process of self-discovery. Or rather, a process of self-development. I don't think self-discovery makes me feel like this self has always been here and I've just been blind to it. But self-development, I feel like, is just a awareness of the natural progression of a personhood. You can't really stop the evolution of you. Whether it be you believe in fate or preordinance or the chaos of the universe. Sarah, LOL. I have a chair. I'm just not sitting on it. I'm sorry. June, you should do a research with 2 blackies? Does that sound racially offensive? Who are they? What are they? Should I Google this? I'm terrified of Googling it. I don't know who these people are. Nothing's showing up on my Google search. So Olga, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, are you saying I should have a threesome with 2 black people? That's really racist. If you're referring to gaining research in that way. Is that what you were saying? We're gonna get so demonetized for this stream, y'all. R.I.P. R.I.P. I don't know why people are gross. I just, I mean, listen, here's the thing, right? We all think some gross things, we just don't say it. So I often wonder what the mentality is behind somebody who just says something extremely offensive that we communally all know to be offensive. On the one hand, it shows off that, like, we have a safe space and people feel like they can troll like that. Or they're just the internet troll and they're not an actual viewer. But I don't know. I can't answer these questions sometimes because I truly don't know what the fuck the human race is doing half the time. All right. We're going to hide, and we're going to remove, and we're going to report. Okay. And then, okay, so Chris is gone. We don't have any mods, so I'm all on my own. And then we're going to hide, and we're going to remove, and we're going to report Olga. So now our space is safer. Alright, we got thread, we got needle, we got a shirt with no buttonholes reinforced. So we're gonna reinforce some buttonholes. I know, it's a really exciting life. It's a really exciting life. Rabina, I'll just make you a mod and you can learn how. You basically just put people in timeout, or you remove them, or you report them, or you block them. They all have like 3 little dots on the right side of their chat. I would love to take you thrifting. I also wonder if I can vlog any part of our walk with Fred to the vet today. That would be cute, huh? But the last time I tried to take you guys and live stream on the go, my battery drained really quickly. I'm not sure what that's about. I mean, one day we'll just all be one dot. Can you imagine? One day the world's population will just be a single pixel out in the cloud. Rabina, don't be too ruthless. Like, if they're getting very sexually explicit and racist, like what we just saw, definitely do block them. But I think if they just have unpopular opinions that aren't like, you should kill X, Y, and Z people, then they should be allowed to add chaos to the world. I don't think we should hide from the world as is. I think the world has done too much hiding and too much silencing, and that's exactly why we fucking just end up killing people with drones and bombs and guns instead of being civilized. I don't know. Civilization is an outdated concept in our world. And you know, like, I think opinions that challenge me get me thinking. So even if I don't agree with them, I can think through why I don't agree with them. And in a way, that is also the development of self, in a way. It's like free therapy, but you just have to know how to regulate it so that you don't burst with anger and hatred. Hi, Russia. Oh, cool. Popcorn and Mangoes. Yeah. It's a really sweet book. I think Aaron and I got it at the Strand for like $1, potentially. I'm not sure anymore the origin of it, but it is a really, really sweet book. We can read another excerpt. Sorry, I shot 3 videos this week. I'm kind of drained. We can read an excerpt of it after I finish doing this one buttonhole, if we would like. Have you thought about studying law or philosophy? I thought I wanted to be a philosophy major in college at one point, and then I took 2 philosophy classes, and they had us read Kant, and I was like, fuck this shit, I'm out. So no. And I don't want to do law. Definitely not. I feel like I would burn out really fast. I just need something that is more instantly gratifying. This world is unkind, and I do not feel like investing any more of myself in it than I have to survive. And when you do something like law, where you are supposed to be, ideally, upholding a certain standard of performance and morality, that apparently the system that is supposed to uphold it doesn't even respect itself, I'm pretty sure that's a losing game for myself to put bets on. And everything is a gamble, and I just don't feel like throwing money away like that. I'd rather spend it on thrifted shirts. Hi, Serbia. Yeah, I mean, if you can afford to take it easy, obviously take it easy. If you don't take it easy, who else is going to? This world does not know the definition of easy. Can you imagine how much easier our lives would be if we didn't have to file taxes every year? So we really don't need to file taxes. The government can just take the money out of our paychecks and leave us alone. But the government doesn't really know how to be a government, because they can only be human. And I'm trying to accept that, because there's nothing else for me to do if I don't accept it. One buttonhole. Let's see if this fits. It fits. Absolutely, taxes should be automatically filed, but we have companies like Intuit, which owns TurboTax, lobby the government every year, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds maybe, I don't know the specific amount, but they lobby the government to keep the process as insanely complicated as it is, because they make money off of it. So, I was saying earlier, can you imagine how much simpler our world would be if we didn't have to file taxes? Then, can you imagine how much simpler our world can be if we did not have the institution of money? No 401ks, no fucking IRAs, traditional Roth, whatever the fuck else there is. I don't even know. No stocks, no bonds. What else is there? What bullshit? What other bullshit do we have? No interest rates. Just fucking farm food and get it to people. And make clothes and get it to people. But no, we have to privatize everything. We have to own everything. We have to make it feel like we have a lasting place on this ephemeral earth. We must make our mark, like the idiots who have to carve their stupid fucking names into all the tree trunks and cactuses. I've always fantasized about living in a bartering economy, although I'm also fairly certain that we'll have some way of fucking that up too if we have it, you know? It's just what we do. We just like to fuck shit up. Um, Unfortunate. The principle of a monetized system is genius, just a shame we corrupted it. I mean, but we are so smart, we simply corrupt everything. We can't just leave it as is. We always have to do more. I do feel like this is stemming from our inability to come to terms with our mortality. Always having to do more to feel like we have made an impact. Always trying to inject meaning into meaningless interactions. Always trying to build systems of ideology so that we know we are on the right side of things when we really don't know much at all about how the world works. Mmm. Homegrown tomato sounds delicious. I just realized you can't see what the fuck I'm doing, can you? Sorry. I'm just sewing. Sewing a buttonhole into sliced up fabric. I think I paid $6 for this shirt, but the buttonholes are a mess. We can't get money out of politics if we don't get rid of money. Money will continue to infiltrate every part of our lives if we have it. Aaron's been reading this, I don't know, he might be French, a philosopher whose last name is Ellul, Ellul. And he talks about, well, at least Aaron posts a lot of his quotes surrounding his idea of the technique, which we can recognize to be more in line with not like how you do something technique, but more technique in terms of like technology, like advancement, systems of progress that we think are going to become more efficient mechanisms. And he talks about how our world has become overtaken by technique, in that we were once gods of this technique. We once created technology and systems of efficiency, but now the system has basically a life of its own because we have so prioritized this idea of constant advancement and technique that we just go ham. We value technique, advancement, progress, efficiency above all else, and that's all we worked for. And now that's all we have, and we've made it so strong, we basically birthed it into its own existence, and now technique rules all of our world. We created it, but now we are ruled by it because we simply gave it too much priority. We made it too powerful, and now we can't do anything to stop our prioritization of technique because it has a life of its own. And we are all under its control. And that's why we can't just take money out of politics. It doesn't happen like that. Because money has a mind of its own now. It is a parasite. Money is like COVID-19. Might have been human-made in origin. I don't know. But certainly we have no control over it anymore. So, that's our world now. How do you continue to exist in the face of hopelessness is the theme of forever. Maybe the most peaceful thing to do would be to give up on the idea of hope. Or rather, appreciate having hope, but understand clearly that hope itself is not going to be a solution. And in fact, having only hope as a life raft might drown us even more painfully than holding on to other things as a life raft. Because the discrepancy between hope and the effect of changes that we need to see is just too great. I agree. We are not advanced enough as a collective yet. Unfortunately, that is so. Not everybody is on the same page. Obviously, we have in this chat mostly a curated audience of people who have come back to see me for over a year, who know what my thoughts are, my opinions are, what my modes of thinking are. But just by unionizing at work, I can see how hard it is to make a group of people all have the same passion and degree of action and willingness of solidarity. It's not just that the people in power suck, it's that we have been trained to let them suck. We have been trained to allow it to happen. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's unfortunately the way I see things, the state of the world right now. I'm not blaming people who don't take more action. Hell, I can't even take more action on some days. I'm paralyzed. I get it. But also recognizing that the state that we're in is not going to be able to resolve in any lasting change beyond momentary frustrations and bake sales and protests. People are still dying, being shot by guns bought with my tax money, by police who are paid with my tax money that has been taken out of my paycheck because I work for a corporation that does anti-union shit. Like, the more you think about the cycle of just incestuously immoral existences, coming back to the idea of, is it immoral for me to live stream a therapy session with my therapist out of the picture and without his audio? It's just like, you think about these things, and yeah, they are immoral on some level if you don't tell the other person exactly what you're doing, but how much of our world has basically made us acquiesce to constant immorality, like constant immorality. I consider myself a hard worker, and I've just started to realize that that's not the best thing to be. It's a really dumb thing to be. So, what do you guys all think? Everything is impossible until it is possible, right? So I don't doubt that at one point we will have revolution of various sorts. But I'm not sure. I think revolution tends to build a lot like resentment, and some people just give into it, and some people decide they can't take it anymore. They have to do something. But can you guys recall any revolution that has already occurred in history that had positive change for an extended period of time up until now? Has there been any victories of revolution? Or is the idea of revolution only good before you achieve the revolution? Because once you do achieve the revolution and you have the power to do shit, you do shit. And not all of it good. Did we get rid of the communists? Who are the communists? And why are they bad? Mark. But I really don't know anything about Czech history. I don't know about the Velvet Revolution. I'm very ignorant when it comes to history and politics because I just feel like it's a long string of human failures. But Kara, I agree. ideas of countries and borders has always been mind-boggling to me. They are just made-up lines. But money is also a made-up thing, and it controls every aspect of our life. So that's true. We do have it better than earlier generations in some aspects, in terms of, I guess, living longer. But are we happier? Abstract ideas. Hard to compare. Um, yeah. I mean, S class, I would agree with that absolutely. Utopia is not a state that is ever attained in a final way. The utopia and the revolution is in the process of struggling towards. It's all in the process, right? As long as you have a goal to reach, you are advancing towards something. Once you have reached it, it's kind of like plastic surgery. You see a part of yourself that you don't like, and you're like, I'm gonna fix that. So you fix it, but then you realize that you hate something else. And then you have to fix that. You can't really reach perfection, can you? So, I think growing up is understanding that everything you've been taught is both a lie and not a lie. Everything you've been taught is coming from the angle of this human inclination to know and understand. So everything we've been taught in K through 12 is telling us this is what we know of the world, understand it. What is never really quite discussed in school, or just simply glossed over, is the immense amount of things we don't know, can't know, and is beyond our capacity for understanding. And I think if we were brought up under an education system that brainwashed us some facts, but also this sense of humility concerning how ignorant we are as a species, we would have a very different society. Thinking about all the teachers who acted as authority figures, reprimanding children for breaking rules that are human-made, for using and abusing their authority to seem like they are all-knowing, all right, all righteous, and all capable, was probably the biggest lie that was ever performed for an extended period of our lives. And those teachers have now turned into, in our adult lives, governmental figures. I think it's only in recent years that I've come to notice how stupid governments can be. Mark, concerning communism, we call certain people in history communists because that's the title they gave themselves. I'm not sure if we've ever achieved a state of communism that was theoretically intended, and I'm not sure we ever can. So to what extent do I hold people who call themselves communists to be communists? I don't know. It's like, do I call a lot of discriminatory, racist, homophobic, fundamental Christians? Because in my mind, under my systems of understanding what Jesus Christ was trying to teach, they're not being very good Christians when they do shit like that. Of course, they would disagree with me, but just because you say you are something, I don't think gives you the right to be that thing. I've turned the camera away so you can come out if you want. Okay. I mean, Sarah, like, that's a really powerful thing to do, is to say, I don't know, let's find out together. I wish more doctors, and I had a couple of doctors who just flat out told me, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know if this is what you have. I'm going to have to look into it. That's when I felt most safe. When people admit themselves to be humans, to be incomplete, and to need a sort of reinforcement and corroboration, that's how you build community. For us to have leaders who cannot admit their own faults and shortcomings and just glosses over it like it never happened, that triggers my spidey senses so bad, guys. I know immediately when you can't admit to your own weaknesses and faults that you are a very insecure person. And insecurity, we all have. But the kind of insecurity that wants to hide itself is a weapon of sorts that can definitely hurt yourself. And if you try hard enough to hold it within yourself to let nobody else see it, will also begin to hurt other people as well. And this is something that I've realized recently at work. When you have a leader who is not capable of being transparent about who they are and what they need help with, they are not an effective leader. They are just calling themselves a leader while trying to blend in with a pack. If I use ugly words, they are spineless. If I use prettier words, they have immense hubris. Neither of which are delicious things to have. Okay, so at work we had trivia night sponsored by Sugar Wish, and they made us pick out 4 snacks. So I'm going to try all of them. These are the 4 that I picked for myself. Initially, I picked dried edamame because I remember when I used to visit my mom before COVID, Grandma really loved snacking on these roasted soy nuts. But unfortunately now, I don't see them very often in many places. And so I ordered one of these as my 4. And I was like, I'm going to give it to Grandma. And then I remembered that she literally broke part of her tooth like a week ago or a month ago, just eating something I gave her, which I don't really give her anything besides like flaky chips. So I don't think giving Grandma this would be a good idea unless I want to break another one of her tooths. But I'm gonna have some because I love them as well.
So you're not gonna have
the salads?
Yeah.
Have all of them. want some edamame beans?
No, thank you.
They're fine. They used to be more delicious to me. Next up, we have Japanese peanuts. What's Japanese about them? Maybe tamari, some sort of seasoning. But these are types of peanuts that has like a coating. Oh, here, they tell you on the inside. Peanuts, wheat flour, rice flour, sugar, leavening, salt, soy sauce, potato starch. So soy sauce, I guess. They do smell very Japanese condimenty.
Soy sauce is invented in China.
I know soy sauce is a Chinese invention, but these don't smell like Chinese food to me. They smell like those Japanese rice cracker snacks that are soy glazed. You know the ones that I'm talking about? They come in different shapes. Want some?
Yes. This one you got me. Ooh. Ooh.
You like?
Mm-hmm.
Peanut butter pretzel bites. You know I had to get
Peanut butter pretzel bite. Peanut butter pretzel bite. Peanut butter pretzel. Peanut butter pretzel.
Enriched wheat flour, peanut butter, salt, malt, canola.
Salt milk.
I know Trader Joe's sells these. I never let myself buy them. Maybe I should, you know, and just let myself eat the whole fucking bag one day. Because
Please, June.
I've been so scared
You're
of
on
buying
it.
them because, one, they have so much salt on them, and when I'm addicted by the combo of peanut butter and dry, mealy starch, the crunch and the gumminess, the stickiness, the tough to swallowness, the way it makes me thirst, I can just eat the whole bag. And I have eaten the whole bag. And the last time I ate the whole bag, I was like, shit, I can't buy these again. There's so much salt though. I wish they came unsalted because then it would make me feel a lot less shitty for eating the whole bag. Salt makes me feel awful.
Imagine how gross those would be unsalted though.
What?
It would be so gross unsalted those.
But I can add a little salt. Like, but this is too much. You know how American pretzel snacks have so much salt on them? Whoever came up with the idea of just like, let's coat this shit in rough salt all over.
Yeah, just standard pretzel nugs.
Like this one, moderate amount of salt. And this one is eat one and you will die of dehydration. Oh, I need water now. I need water now. Are the eating sounds triggering for you? I'm sorry. It's true. You need the salty and the sweet in alternation. So, pump you with one drug and give you the other as antidote. Speaking of sweet, here we have dried guava. I've never had dried guava before, so when I saw it, I was like, let's try some dried guava. This one, guava, sugar, citric acid, sulfur dioxide, salt, and then FD&C yellow. Why do you need food coloring on dried fruit? Just let it be its ugly ass self. We'll get used to it. But no, you have to have a whole industry churning out possible carcinogens to make foods look more like what we want and expect them to look instead of just letting them be themselves. We can't even let food be themselves. How can we allow ourselves to be ourselves? That's fucked. It's kind of salty. Why is it salt? Is there salt? Oh yeah, there is salt. Why is this salt? Ew. Mm. The texture is nice. All dried fruit with sugar added has a super nice texture, but the salt is it's a little too salty. It kind of reminds me of Hawthorne Flakes. These, which I've been buying for grandma. But these are not salty. These are just sweet. That's true. Chinese dried fruits are salty. For example, oh, that is so sweet too. Just kind of like choked me in the back of my throat. I bought these dried papaya, organic, sugar-free. No sugar added. They're so tough to chew. They make my jaw hurt. I think these are made out of hawthorn berries, but they're called haw flakes. I don't actually know what the name is because I don't think Americans eat this fruit. But grandma likes them for digestive systems. She insists they help her digest better. And they come in such huge strips sometimes. There we go. Dried papaya. If you ever go to Sahadi's in Brooklyn, they have the best dried papaya. These I got from Parrot. They're a little tough to chew. There's a little. Like that tough to chew. I've been thinking I should soak these in some sort of liqueur. Or like a vanilla water or something. I would say the Japanese peanuts are probably the best tasting ones out of this bunch. And then the pretzels. Sahadi's is amazing. Their prices have gone up tremendously too, though. I think that's all I have for today. There are so many different kinds of guava too, Kara. The Chinese guava that I see all over Chinatowns is like a big green one that's rock hard, like an unripe pear, with like crunchy white seeds in the middle that can sometimes break your tooth. And then there's also like the Mexican ones that I see that are like tiny and yellow, blushed pink when they're ripe, and they smell so good when they're ripe, that are way softer but still has seeds in the middle. I wonder where in America you can find hawthorn berries. I want to go foraging now. Fred is in the bedroom. We saw him a little bit earlier. Aaron, do you think we should feed him before we go?
Yeah. Yes.
The vet is just a yearly checkup. The last time he had a checkup was like last year, April. So we figured it's time. I think guava needs a lot of sugar to make it taste good, like the drinks. I'm gonna feed him a little less so that if he throws up, he won't throw it up all over our backpack.
You give him some before and some after.
Yeah, I'll give him an ounce now.
Excellent.
I'm so glad you like it. And we also have more shortbreads if you want. You can just use it as a dipper.
I'll eat those on their own.
Okay.
Really good.
I made these, it's so funny. I wanted a crunchy topping for the peaches and cream salad, and I didn't want to go out to buy Nilla wafers and graham crackers because I fucking hate having them in the house because I just binge on them. So instead of going out, I just turned on the oven and made my own shortbreads. And now Aaron really likes them. These are made with rye flour. They're actually really nice, not too sweet. See, I crumble them on top for a little bit of texture. Which I learned is a very American thing when it comes to desserts. Like, Americans love texture in their food. They like a little bit of crunch, a little bit of saucy, creamy, a little bit of soft, a little bit of chewy. I feel like with a lot of Asian desserts, it's very monotonous textures, like mochi, steamed bun. It's all very mushy. So, cultural division, yet again. It's all delicious. It's just what you grew up with. I think if you just substitute rye flour for any shortbread recipe you have, and then maybe add a touch more butter, oil, and or milk to hold it together, because rye flour can be quite drying compared to other all-purpose flours, then you can use rye flour in all of your shortbread recipes. Water's ready. I'm finding out that a lot of fruit seeds are poisonous. Do we know how poisonous hawthorn seeds are, though? Like, are they you eat one and you die the way Chris McCandless died? Or are they like apple seeds where you have to eat a whole bucket before you die? Bye, Fred. Have a good time. Super clean dish. Does anyone else's cats lick their dish clean like this? What is that movie where those two people stranded on an island started eating those berries and passed out? I don't know what movie that is. Well, maybe Tanghulu doesn't have the seeds in the berries. I think they hull them first, because they always do feel very empty inside. But anyway, that's all. If I feel like Fred's not freaking out too much on our 2 o'clock walk to the vet, maybe I'll stream a little bit and see how that stream holds up. If it just drains my battery like the last time, then obviously it'll be a very short one, but I think it would be cool to see how Freddy behaves in the backpack. So, join back sometime in an hour maybe. Until then, eat your vitamins, which I'm going to do now. Bye.